Afternoon, everyone. Welcome to the final presentations and showcase for UCLA's Social Enterprise Academy. I am Yolanda Gorman of Proud Triple Bruin and the Associate Vice Chancellor for Alumni Affairs. It is truly a pleasure to be here today and to celebrate the culmination of this remarkable 6-month program. In partnership with the Department of Economics, the Academies of Social Entrepreneurship, and the UCLA Alumni Association, the Academy connects undergraduate students with nonprofit organizations to identify innovative earned income opportunities that strengthen both organizational sustainability and community impact. And over the past several months, students have worked closely with nonprofit leaders to conduct market research, develop business plans, and explore creative strategies for growth and long-term success. What we'll see today reflects not only academic excellence, but also collaboration and innovation and a deep commitment to serving communities across Los Angeles. This showcase represents the culmination of that work, where 3 finalist teams will present their ventures to a panel of judges. And I have had the privilege of serving in the role as judge and student supporter, and I've seen firsthand the talent, thoughtfulness, and entrepreneurial students that students bring to this experience. Programs like the Social Enterprise Academy reflect UCLA's broader commitment to engagement with Los Angeles, bringing together students, faculty, alumni, and community organizations to address real-world challenges through partnership and innovation. I want to thank our nonprofit partners, mentors, faculty, alumni, and supporters for investing your time and expertise throughout this process. And to our students, congratulations on reaching this important milestone. We are excited to hear your presentations and celebrate all that you have accomplished. Thank you for being here.
Thank you, Yolanda. You summarized what we're about to do very well. I am Andy Atkinson. I am the economics professor who leads this Social Enterprise Academy. And I want to thank a set of people before we kick off. I first want to thank my partners in making this academy happen. Archie Holton, who you'll meet very soon, but also Rob Triplett and Paul Van Berkom and Isabel Moras are all key to putting this academy together and pulling it off year after year. So it's been a great pleasure of my life to have this partnership with Archie and everyone else in making this academy happen. I want to thank the judges that are coming out today. And not just, you'll see in the program, there were judges in a previous round of competition. There were people who came and spoke to our students as guest lecturers. There are many people who support the Academy through its 6 months, the students and the nonprofits in the 6 months that we're together in this Academy. So it's really a big group effort that makes this happen. I want to thank the students. This doesn't work unless you are engaged and eager to carry out basically unstructured efforts at entrepreneurship. And so it's a great pleasure for me to see your work come together in these presentations. But most of all, I want to thank the nonprofit staff that have participated with us. It's a long academy. We ask a lot of the nonprofit staff in terms of their time and commitment to this process and commitment to our students. So I'm deeply grateful for your efforts in making this academy happen. So with that, I'd like to turn this over to Archie Holton, who will work with the judges to have them introduce themselves, and then we'll kick off our presentation. So Archie, please take over.
Well, only partially take over. I want to thank Yolanda for this opportunity, for the program, the students, and Andy for 15 years of partnership. It's been extraordinary. If you're one of our judges, if you could, we're going to have you introduce yourself to the still think that you guys will do a much better job than I do. First, I'd like to give you Samantha D'Souza. Samantha, can you come on camera?
Hi. Hi, everyone. Lovely to be here. Thank you for having me today. I'm a proud Bruin communications and psychology ex major, graduated in 2018, and I'm representing here as part of the UCLA Alumni Board of Directors. Really looking forward to hearing everything that has been presented. This is a brilliant program. I myself have advised many social enterprises around the world and run an agency that works in all different spaces and cultures in the marketing, creative strategy, and production spaces. So really looking forward to today, and thank you for having me.
Thank you for being here. Kedar.
Hi everyone, I'm Kirar. Sorry, having some camera issues, but great to meet everyone. I'm a graduate of the class of 2022 in computer science, minor in digital humanities, and from then have had a career in product and tech, and actually worked for a nonprofit focused on tech literacy, digital literacy, AI literacy. And now, after further studies, I founded my own startup, and I'm chief product and tech officer of Grantlytics. It's an AI startup focused on helping nonprofits find funding and sort of um, improving the entire workflow from finding best fit opportunities to building funder relationships, and then sort of making the ecosystem less fragmented as a whole. So excited to see the great work being done today as well.
Thank you. Lloyd Lewis.
I'm Lloyd Lewis, and I am in my 21st year as the CEO of one of Colorado's largest nonprofit organizations. We are the largest funder of advocacy for people with developmental disabilities in our state, the largest employer of people with developmental disabilities in our state. I'm proud to say that we funded over $250 million during my tenure to this important cause. I got started in this because I have a 22-year-old son with Down syndrome. And I did my MBA at the University of Chicago in finance and did a series of companies following, but this has been the highlight of my career.
Thank you. Jameson.
Okay, sorry, it's unable to come off camera. I'm gonna try it one more time. Yeah, disabled by the host. So my name's Jameson. It's great to, okay, there we go. Hi, my name's Jameson. I'm a director of a big clinical center down at UC San Diego. I lead one of the 9 alpha clinics in the state of California. UCLA has one. Woohoo! I've been in social impact entrepreneurship close to, I'd say, 10 years now. Really from the East Coast, started spinning out faculty technologies and trying to find where markets will actually take these things up so they don't pivot away and really pivot away from their mission. My wife's a Bruin. I saw that this was a thing and just got really, really, really interested to support. So it's great to be here. Hopefully, I'm very excited to see what you guys have tonight.
Awesome. Thank you. Before I introduce the last of our judges, I want to I want to acknowledge Isabel Bart for constantly pushing us forward and holding us together and being the glue that had this happen. Paul Van Berkom, who is in charge of our program delivery and who's without support, we would not be here. And Rob Triplett, who puts more work in than probably 3 of us combined to making sure that this goes. He cries more often than all the rest of us. His love of this program is monumental, and we'll be hearing from them in a little bit. But I wanted to do that before I introduce our last judge. There are people that impact your life for life. Sometimes it's just a brief meeting, and others, it's people who stay with you for life. Our next judge is Betsy Dinsmore, and where I will have her introduce herself, I wanted it to be public that single-handedly she has had more impact on me in my life than anyone I know. With her and her partnership with Andy has been probably the greatest part of my life. So I introduce you, and it is my honor to introduce you to the founder of the Academies for Social Entrepreneurship, Betsy Dinsmore.
Gosh, you're going to make me cry. So I'm Betsy Densmore, and I do have a passion for providing leadership and developing leadership in others. And Archie is one of my kids. And I have inside that intention for life started three, I guess, I think five, all small businesses. We have my fellow judges have run much bigger stuff than I have. But five small businesses, one of which is Academies for Social Entrepreneurship. And then, and also I did a turn with a Fortune 500 company in their public affairs department. Um, and I've also done a turn with running a community foundation. So I'm pretty well-rounded when it comes to thinking about both the philanthropic community as well as what makes businesses tick. And I have especially loved being a champion for social entrepreneurs, hence this business. And I'm really happy to be here today. Thanks.
Well, thank you all. And thank you, Archie, for leading that introduction. We're now going to switch to the presentation side of the event. We will have three teams presenting for 8 minutes each. I'm going to run a timer, and we're going to aim to allow judges to do roughly 5 minutes of feedback to each presentation, and then we'll look for you to do scores. Maybe Archie, I can ask you to call on judges. But our first team presenting is the Friends of the Los Angeles River. So if FOLAR, also known as FOLAR, Friends of the Los Angeles River, if you would share your slides and say a few words, and hopefully Joseph can spotlight you, and we can kick this off. Okay.
I'm Jason with Friends of the LA River, so I'm here.
Okay, good. And your co-presenter?
And then I'm Christine. I'll be the student speaker for here.
Okay, so I'm going to mute myself. You start talking, and I'll start the timer. Thank you.
Okay, sounds good. Hello, everyone. Thank you so much for joining us here today. We are the Friends of the LA River. My name is Christine, and here are the rest of the consultants on this project. And now I'm going to pass it off to Jason for a quick introduction to FOLAR, our nonprofit organization.
Friends of the LA River has been bringing people to the river and the river to the people since 1986. 1 million people live within a quarter of what is arguably the greatest ecological, climate, and economic tool at our disposal. Yet, at 51 miles long, only 10% of this natural habitat remains, and too few see it as a river at all. As we work to heal the river's ecosystem, we reconnect communities to this resource through habitat restoration, STEM education, and youth workforce development. And the revenue from this venture will directly impact our collective well-being, the cleaning of our air and cooling of our temperatures. $10 sows thousands of native plants. 30 detoxes 350 gallons of water. And for $50, a next generation river steward can launch. But to know the river and come to care for the river, people need to experience the river, maybe even fall in love. And that's where you come in.
So with that being said, our target market, we are targeting LA native individuals ages 25 to 35 who want genuine in-person connections through fun, low-pressure experiences. The reality is that young adults today are feeling increasingly disconnected. With remote work, there are fewer opportunities to meet people in person. And while dating apps are everywhere, many users are frustrated and struggle to find meaningful connections. And that creates a clear market opportunity. They're looking for something more meaningful than just another dating app. And our event gives them the chance to meet new people, explore their local community, and engage with a nonprofit supporting their local LA River. So, what are we offering? Singles on the River is our pilot experience within a broader series of LA River Eco Tours, which are guided paid walks that turn Folar's community engagement into scalable revenue. And with that, we're starting with a singles focused tour to generate buzz and strong initial demand. And so here's how it works. Participants are first going to buy a ticket online. They'll then complete a short survey and are matched with a compatible partner. They will then meet in Frogtown in groups of around 20 to 25 participants, and a Folar educator will lead a 2-hour walk along the LA River. Along the way, we combine light icebreakers, guided storytelling, and partner stops where participants can receive complimentary drinks. It's designed to be super low pressure, a fun social way to meet people while connecting with the river and your local community. And here's a map of the Frogtown area where the tours will take place. Recently, we did a Folar staff visit and got to visit Frogtown, and we also got to talk to a bunch of our partner businesses, and they were very excited to collaborate with Folar on this adventure. So, to evaluate the competitive landscape, we have identified 3 industries where our competitors operate: ecotourism, social singles events, and food and beverage experiences all throughout LA. However, Singles on the River is uniquely positioned because it is the only event that intersects all 3 of these industries by combining the most valuable aspects of each into one comprehensive experience that our competitors can simply just not replicate. When people choose Singles on the River, they're not just paying for a fun night out. They're supporting an environmental mission that directly benefits their own local community. So, how do we make money? Our revenue model is pretty simple. We charge a flat ticket fee of $65 per person, and each ticket includes the tour plus 1 complimentary drink at our partner locations. We benchmarked this $65 price point against comparable and experiential social events in the LA market, and believe demand is relatively inelastic because participants are paying for a differentiated experience. To drive ticket sales, our marketing strategy leverages Folar's existing audience, local business partnerships, and digital platforms to attract new participants. From there, we convert guests into repeat attendees, donors, volunteers, and long-term supporters of Folar. With this, our growth strategy happens in phases. In year 1, we're focusing on proving the model through our pilot event, Singles on the River. In year 2, we expand by introducing new themed tours and event variations, such as family or corporate bonding events. By year 3, we scale geographically to other sections of the river, beyond just Frogtown. This model is scalable, and most importantly, it creates unrestricted revenue that Folar can reinvest directly into its environmental impact mission in our local LA area. In terms of financials, startup costs are around $6,040, and they cover legal review, curriculum design, and initial marketing costs. Ongoing costs include operations, insurance, educator wages, and marketing support, as well as the cost of our complimentary drinks. Our ventures revenue is driven by ticket sales and based on around 2 tours per month with 15 to 25 participants in each. As our model scales, by year 3, we're projecting around $64.4K in operating profit. And now I'll pass it off to Jason, our CDO, to talk more about Folar's amazing management.
It's critical to support this venture with Folar's existing team. In addition to the guidance of board members with strong business backgrounds like Mike Kelly and MK O'Connell, I bring 15 years of experience in organizational development and cross-sector partnerships as an entrepreneur and nonprofit consultant. And Ryan Maeda, Director of Community Engagement, has extensive LA community knowledge and environmental education expertise to lead the overall direction of the new venture. Christine?
So, what are we asking for? We're seeking $7,000 in startup costs to launch our pilot event. $6,040 will cover the startup costs previously mentioned, and the remaining $950 will serve as a contingency funding for unexpected expenses. And based on our financial projections, we project full loan repayment within 2 years. But the bigger part goes beyond just the financials. It's the social impact.
Through our pilot year alone, we project connecting 480 people to the river while driving traffic to mission-aligned local businesses in Frogtown. And one impact from its projected revenues from the venture would fund an entire year of habitat restoration, removing 52,000 gallons of invasive species and restoring 3 acres of wild habitat, supporting a cleaner and healthier ecosystem, wildlife, and a more sustainable future for Angelinos.
Moreover, we're introducing entirely new audiences to Folar's existing programming. These people, who may have never engaged with the river before, can become future donors, volunteers, newsletter subscribers, and long-term advocates for river protection through their positive experience with our venture. Through this project, we worked closely with Folar's leadership team, board members, and local partners to ensure this venture aligns with our long-term goals and existing programming. This isn't just a singles event. It's a scalable model that creates social connection, supports local businesses, generates unrestricted revenue, and helps protect the future of the LA River. And with that, thank you so much. We're happy to take your questions and any feedback.
So thank you, Christine. If you would take the slides down, and then Archie, we'll allocate about 5 minutes for judges' feedback, but maybe Archie, you could call on some judges. You're muted.
Since I can see Lloyd and he can't hear me, we'll call in Lloyd first. Is there anything?
Yeah, I have a comment and then a question. My comment is, what a fun idea. What a unique idea. Congratulations. Very fun. Very, I never knew we could tie this to drinking beer. And I love the tagline, drink beer, save rivers, find your match. That is
Thank
a
you very
wonderful
much.
tagline.
Yeah, when we
My
went,
question is this.
sorry.
So you did benchmarking against other social events to establish the $65 ticket price. What were those other social events and how did they do in terms of fundraising?
Yeah, so there's a bunch of other social events that are listed on Eventbrite, which is an online event platform that you can just like go onto and find different experiences that you want to buy tickets for. Namely, one of the ventures that we did compare our price point to was a singles event that was surrounded around speed chess dating, which was priced at $60 per hour per event. So we feel like our venture is a much more differentiated experience and provides a very holistic view and experience of the LA River compared to
Thank you.
just the sit-down event. Yes.
All right, thank you.
The next is Samantha.
Hi, so such a lovely presentation. Thank you all for making the time. I have a question because you've put some really thoughtful details in your financials as regards the growth over the 3 years. Presumably over that time, obviously, there would be, cultural and social changes in regards to demand for groups of singles and communities who are wanting certain types of experience. Have you given any thought to, in that growth over the 3 years, how you would elevate and change the actual programming to fit that cultural and social change that's taking place?
Yeah, for sure. So, right now, we have a bunch of existing programming through our habitat restorations and a lot of pre-existing Folar staff that is well educated on the history of the river. We plan to educate more of those educators to be able to provide more experiences. And then also naturally, given that each year we are implementing a new smaller growth phase, that should be pretty feasible to maintain as we have a bunch of other partner locations, such as schools, also along the river that we are planning on working with as well.
And if I might add to that, there's a geographical expansion there as well. The kayaking, silent dance parties, different locations along the river, where we have some relationships already waiting to talk to that would love to have this experience. So we're able to meet that both geographically as well as culturally.
Great. Thank you very much.
Betsy, anything for you?
Oops. Probably be easier if we all left our cameras on. I mean, I love this idea. It's so triple bottom line business. I guess my question is, are are you set to do this? In other words, is your staffing in place? Because it seems like the startup costs are fairly modest.
Yes.
And have you done anything like this already that you're actually building on?
Yeah, so actually, we have made some efforts into getting the plan into motion. We already did the tour ourselves. Our team, went to the LA River. We met up with Jason and Ryan Maeda, who will be the director of this program. I believe he is on some type of meeting right now, which is why he couldn't make it. But we were able to talk to all of our partner locations and get their contact information to really make sure that we could that this was actually feasible and that they would be up to collaborating.
And to the staffing part, Betsy, yes, we do nature walks and different type of excursions, history tours, etc. already. Those are
Mhm.
free. They tend to be a little more small and condensed. So the staff is already here and in place. This is adding a whole cost value benefit and an audience we didn't know existed in quite a way until the students found it for us.
Yeah. We
And
also
and
have, sorry, we also have a similar event called Bats and Brews that sells out very quickly within like an hour of tickets getting published. It's an event that Fuller already puts on, and it's very similar to our tour.
Okay.
which underscores that you know where the market is. Thanks.
Yeah. I
Yeah.
do want to, I know we're out of time, but I would like to see if there's anything Jameson, since this is just give
Brief
him a shot.
question. Brief question. It's on moat. No pun here intended. And what do you want to be when you grow up? So if this is successful, what would it take for someone else to not just replicate it, but take it from you? You're solving something a myriad of groups are not solving, like the government, right? Waterfront Partnership of Baltimore comes to mind. So have you guys thought about moat?
Yeah, I mean, there is no true like nonprofit that does the exact same work that Fuller does. There's no true nonprofit in this LA region that can replicate the years and years and years of history that they have dedicated towards helping the local LA area. So I truly believe the social impact aspect is a main contributor to our competitive advantage and what will sustain us from being replicated.
Okay. Thank everyone. Andy, going back to you. Judges, please make sure you put your scores in the scorecard.
Yes, our next team is Build Up. So please share your slides, Build Up, and the two Build Up presenters. If you'll, it looks like you've come to the front. So, uh, okay. And but your slides. There we go. And then I will wait for the okay that the judges have finished doing the scoring on the previous one. And then we'll be able to kick off.
Great, thanks.
Lloyd, do you need some assistance?
Are we ready?
Sure.
We are not.
Oh,
Stand by,
Oh,
please.
well, we're ready. Y'all just tell us when. Thanks.
okay.
While we're finishing up, I do want to make a note to the judges. There are spaces underneath in which you can leave notes. That's not necessarily a numerical. We are now complete.
All right, so I'll mute myself and build up, kick off. I'll start the timer.
Okay, great. Hey, everybody. I'm Stephen Collins. I'm with Build Up. I, first of all, want to just share Build Up is a workforce development, early college, independent high school model. And before I kind of unpack Build Up's model, I just want to tell you a second about Euphrates. He is an amazing young man. He's a professional carpenter. He earns well over a livable wage. He's a homeowner. He's also a change agent in his community. And I should probably mention that he's just 19 years old. And I just want you to take a moment, think about what you are or were doing as a 19-year-old. And once you have that picture of yourself in your mind, I'm imagining most likely you weren't fully engaged in a career. You probably weren't earning above a livable wage, and most likely were not a homeowner. And you're now probably wondering how this is possible, especially for young people who are coming out of an area that is well below, where most everybody is well below the poverty line. Now, one fundamental difference between your experience in Euphrates might be that Euphrates went to Build Up Community School. He had the benefit of this program that is focused on helping young people navigate three of the most deterministic systems in their lives. That's education, career development, and home ownership. So Build Up is a three-pronged approach as an education model that focuses on these areas: a quality academic experience that prepares them for a career, and also a career-connected experience in that education, where they are able to get into internships in high-demand career fields. And then probably what I think of as another pillar in our program is the postgraduate support piece. And this is where students are given opportunities to find pathways to college and more training and enter high demand careers and end up with an opportunity to purchase an affordable home with equity. And this is where I'm really grateful for our partners in this team with UCLA who helped us re-envision and rethink this postgraduate portion of our program in helping to make it more sustainable. I'll let Caitlin tell you more about that.
Yeah, so let's jump into our adventure. So first, I want to note that the Society for Human Resource Management finds that the cost of replacing an employee leads to losses in productivity and management time that reach 90 to 200% of annual wages. This is an incredible cost for businesses. But what if it didn't have to be this way? This is exactly where BuildUp comes in. Our solution is to create a subsidiary temp agency that matches BuildUp graduates to local organizations. By utilizing BuildUp's existing infrastructure of trade school curriculum, tracking of attendance, motivation, and baseline skills, BuildUp is able to vet qualified students to fill these vacancies and provide employers with a stable flow of qualified individuals. Now, jumping into the target market for this venture. First, our target market focuses on trade employers who need entry-level workers. Across the United States, the construction industry alone needs about 439,000 new workers annually. This highlights a significant labor shortage. Within our serviceable market of Texas and Alabama, where the build-up schools are located, there are tens of thousands of construction and trade companies, representing a large pool of potential employers who are seeking this entry-level talent. However, our immediate focus is much smaller and more realistic. We start with local employer partners near our training programs in Birmingham, Selma, and Brownsville, and we estimate around 400 to 500 employers that regularly hire entry-level trade workers, which allows us to build an initial pipeline of 20 to 40 employer partnerships. So how would BuildUp enter this market? The first phase would be to leverage their existing network of corporate partners, such as Habitat for Humanity, and to place their recent graduates into entry-level trade jobs, putting an emphasis on these high-demand sectors of construction, electrical, and plumbing. After a strong performance in this role, we hope to expand by increasing the number of graduates entering this workforce pipeline and expand partnerships with additional companies. Now, I'll walk through the competitive landscape, and there are three main players. First, there are traditional staffing agencies such as Snelling, but they mainly focus on quick placement and mostly general labor, not long-term trained pipelines like BuildUp has. Second, there are workforce intermediaries, and these are our closest competitors. Some examples are Cristo Rey Network, Europe, and Genesis Works. And they do provide training and structure, but they're often national, so they're not necessarily connected to local needs. Third, there's direct hiring, and this is the status quo today, where employers recruit on their own, but they struggle to find trained entry-level workers and they experience very high costs. So overall, there's a clear gap between training, placement, and local demand. If you're able to switch to the next slide. I think it cut out for a second. Okay, yeah. So BuildUp is able to directly address this gap. First, it creates a local postgraduate pipeline which connects graduates to real jobs in their community. Second, students complete multiple internships while at BuildUp schools, so they graduate with hands-on experience they can take into the workforce. Third, the model is very mission aligned, giving students a clear path to full-time employment. And another huge advantage is that BuildUp creates a supply of reliable workers, allowing them to save on employee search costs and also reduce the unpredictability of new hires. So instead of just simply placing workers, BuildUp creates a reliable and long-term system. So here we've estimated the potential revenue from our venture idea with three scenarios in mind. To calculate each scenario, we took into account a few assumptions. To start, we calculated a baseline $17 an hour based on the average starting wage across positions in construction, warehouse work, clerical work, and plumbing. And we also assumed that our graduates would be able to work around 30 hours a week and 26 weeks per year. And to estimate these three scenarios, we applied a markup to the worker's hourly wage, which reflects how staffing agencies make their revenue. So for a realistic estimate, we applied a 35% markup, and then this would bring our total realistic estimate to be $232,050 of revenue per year and per graduating class of 50. Now, looking at profit, utilizing our realistic revenue estimate, the total cost for the subsidiary development are around $75,000, which is also our ask to fund this venture. This accounts for the process of registering an LLC, which is around $900, and the cost of obtaining a full-time employee, leaving us with net profits of $150,050. While these profits will be extremely valuable to fund programs that create more homeowners like Euphrates, they also provide a number of broader impacts. So I'll let Stephen expand on.
Well, no, this is just really a great adventure for us because it's re-examining work we're already doing in a space we already have a lot of success in. And it's taking this pivotal part of our program, our postgraduate support processes, and turning what's really a huge expenditure into an asset. And this is paving the way to having a lot more success stories so other young people like Euphrates can have this opportunity. And that's the story we want to see written again and again at this school, taking young people who have next to no possible way forward and putting them on a once thought impossible pathway to stable careers in home ownership. Thanks, everybody.
Thanks.
Thank you. If you go ahead and take the slides down, we can go to comments and questions from judges. All right, so if you stop sharing, I think would be good. There we go. So go ahead.
Lloyd, you're first. You're on camera already. We'll just call on you.
So a comment, a very admirable and noble mission. So I applaud you for the work you're doing and the people you're helping and supporting. It's very admirable. Do you have key employers that you've identified in these markets that you might be targeting?
Do you mean like specific partners?
Um, I mean, yes, we work with a number of employers already in our internships, also in our job placement. And we've just always done this really as a, of course, service to the community and the students, and to this is the most important piece of our program. But we've never thought of how to kind of make this create revenue or make it more sustainable, so that we can continue to do it more effectively.
And where will you get your students from? How do you recruit your students?
So the students are already part of Build Up High School, and they're continuing to be recruited through not only community initiatives, like going to events within the community, such as like church gatherings or sporting events or social events like that. And they also have online advertising, but a lot of it is being spread through word of mouth, as they're already students at this school. And it's really remarkable to see, 19-year-olds becoming homeowners. And so that's definitely garnered a lot of attention and has attracted more students to the schools.
Thank you.
Okay, Samantha is up.
Hi, thank you so much. This was a really insightful presentation. My question is, as you guys scale, looking at the financial comparative between your competitors who are charging a 50, 60, 70% markup on the hourly rates, as you do grow, is there an intention to kind of move the percentage into that area of the markup? And if not, if you do, what is the continuing value proposition that will make your partners choose Build Up as opposed to competitors who have that existing markup?
Yeah, so something kind of unique about us, we want to acknowledge that like these are students who just graduate high school, and especially in the trades, they need to build up a lot of skills to be able to work in these industries. And so we started with a sort of like lower markup to sort of garner trust and build trust throughout the community, and to, ensure that they feel comfortable taking on these students. But as time goes on and as we've built this trust and built this relationship, we hope to sort of increase the markups and maybe even increase markups for older students or people who are a few years removed from the Build Up program and who have built up a little bit more trade experience. And so that would be sort of our value proposition of the more time and experience, and also historically strong trust between other organizations we've worked with.
Davison.
This is fantastic. I mean, I didn't mention that for the first one, so these have all been fantastic. But quick question. So, what does the curriculum look like for soft skills?
Yes, we have a very robust advisory that goes throughout the school. Schools are split up into houses, and they have advisors. Their internships also contain a whole skills quotient that they're evaluated on by their supervisor. And there's a soft skills rubric that's used in every academic and workforce setting in the school. That's part of their performance tasks, just kind of related to how they're graded, which is performance based, as opposed to just kind of testing and formal assessments. So yeah, they're worked into every facet of the program.
Betsy Dinsmore.
This program makes my heart sing because I think it's so important and useful and to society as a whole and to the people that you're training, that to be developing people in trades that we really need. I guess My concern only is it does sound like you're basically going to be a nonprofit temp agency. And I'm wondering if if your current partners who are used to not paying are going to be willing to pay. And I guess interested in a little bit more about how you will wrest the business from the for profit, from your competitors.
Yeah, I can touch on that a little bit. So our current partners work with high schoolers during the school year as part of an internship. So high schoolers are not working that many hours, and it's under the impression that they're not very experienced. So often the companies are sort of having to give them a lot of hands-on support. And so that's why we initially don't charge them during these high school internships. However, once they graduate and they've completed multiple internships and trade school training at Build Up, they have a lot more experience to take with them, and they're being able to work full hours, which is really helpful, especially in the trades as there are shortages. So they don't have an employer being able to pull someone from Build Up to come work for them on a project is going to be amazing for their business and helping them to complete projects. So that's our sort of value proposition on that. And something that I noticed when I was doing research is that actually there's a big problem with there being an aging population in the trades. So way more people are retiring out of the trades than are entering. And so I think the great value that we have to add over our competitors is that these are really like young students and individuals. And so when they take them on, even if it's just for a temporary thing, there's a potential for them to become full time. And they have these long-term workers. And so it really distinguishes us from other temp agencies that maybe have older workers as they need the younger workforce to be able to replace the populations that's aging out.
I might add that, invariably as the students build relationships or the internships with these employer partners, they always want to go where they interned. It's a really deep relationship and a
Mhm.
bond they get. But I would say, I have the same like ethical quandaries around like even any money coming out of any young person's pocket, especially one that's coming through poverty and like trying to balance wages. But I think even at the very least, like placement fees are really helpful. And I think employers generating goodwill for the ongoing relationship and training would more than happy pay a placement fee to the school, which wouldn't pull anything out of a young person's wages. And so I feel really confident about that piece as something that we just haven't even thought about or explored. So
Oh, and now, so is your model going to be a flat fee rather than based on the wages?
I think that's just something for me, at least a dimension of it that I'm really and feeling really confident
Right, I
about.
missed that in your presentation.
Yeah, it
Interesting.
would be a markup. And then if they were to go full time, then we'd also have a sort of finder's fee for that. Um, yeah.
Okay. I
Thanks.
need, I need to give Kedar if he would like. He hasn't raised his hand or sent me a message, but we do have a judge that hasn't spoken. Would you like to speak very quickly?
Yeah. Thanks for that, Archie. I really like the mission and the alignment between the mission and the market is definitely very tight as well. Just a quick question on you know, the whole idea of you have your phase one and that's 157K profit, and then your phase three, which is a lot higher as well. I'm curious what the specific milestone at like the Birmingham campus might be that will tell you, oh, this model is now ready to replicate and expand in, the Salma location or wherever else you might be planning.
Yeah. So with our different estimates, we applied a different markup. So the conservative one is a 25% markup, and then the optimistic one is a 45% markup. And so we kind of touched on earlier when we were answering the question is building up employer trust and kind of building up a positive reputation for our workers and really establishing them with initial partnerships. And being able to have that like positive word of mouth and review would be able to allow us to apply these higher markups and reach that optimistic estimate. And then also additionally, as the build up schools themselves scale, and I think having this program will definitely attract more students, that again allows us to have more students who are participating in these programs and therefore also bring in more revenue.
Okay. We should go to scoring. For the audience, you'll hear there'll be some silence while the judges are filling out the scoring sheet. And I'm going to ask the third team, which is Mentor for Change, to just prepare to share their slides, and the two presenters say a few words. But thank you all. Okay, so I see one from Mentor for Change. And there's the other. And one of you will share the slides?
Absolutely. Give me 1 second.
Andy, I thought you were going to be the musical number in between. Weren't you going to sing or something? Something? No. Okay, just checking in.
You'll give me a heads up, Archie, when the scoring is complete, and we can kick off. I think we're a little behind schedule. The judge's feedback question and answer has been a little bit long, but maybe we'll be okay. Again, the silence is due to the judges are filling out score sheets.
We are complete.
All right, so I'll mute myself and Mentor for Change kick off. I'll start the time.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Daniel, and for the past 12 years, Mentor for Change has been mentoring systems impacted youth in East LA. We help them achieve their career and aspirational goals and help them develop holistic resilience. We mentored in our pilot year 9 youth, and just last year alone, we mentored over 200 youth. From career development for first generation low income youth to social emotional learning, and even the incarcerated youth at Los Padrinos for workforce resilience. 100% of our mentees are graduate high school. 100% of them, or 92% of them, enrolled in post-secondary, and all of them has reported self-confidence and a lot of self-efficacy and community connection. And let me tell you why this is important to me. Is at the age of 15, I joined a gang, and I myself was incarcerated. It was a pretty dark time for me, and there was only one mentor in my life who really believed in me, and that was my mom. She saw the future in me when I couldn't see it in myself. And although the values that she instilled in me, she was never there to see my transformation. Her values helped me to graduate from UC Berkeley, start business ventures, and also start a family with two beautiful children. And so the vision and heart of Mentor for Change is to cultivate that same self-belief and hope in every youth that walks through our doors. And over the last 2.5 years, we launched a barista program that we saw tremendous success with our youth. And today we're proposing a coffee shop in Boyle Heights that's going to help us scale our workforce training and multiply this community impact.
Hi, everyone. My name is Keith, and I'm one of the students fortunate to be part of the Social Enterprise Academy. I've spent the last 2 quarters immersing myself in Mentor for Change by working on the business and by attending their events. One day I got to mentor a young man named Kyle. He's a high school student from Boyle Heights, and he took the time to tell me all about his interest in cars and music. He was so enthusiastic, and I later had the chance to introduce Kyle to the rest of the group. So you might be asking why a coffee shop. So I met Kyle at their monthly workshop, which is hosted at a local church. One thing that became clear is that these youth would really benefit from a physical location that's open 7 days a week. Our coffee shop in Boyle Heights would like to be that place. There will be plenty of space for the youth to do their schoolwork in a safe environment with reliable Wi-Fi, and it will be a place where mentors and mentees can have their regular one-on-one meetings and receive support, whether that's emotional support or career guidance and help with college admissions. So our plan is to open a coffee shop on the ground floor of this affordable housing building owned by the East LA Community Corporation. As you can see, it's located right next to the Soto Metro station, which has over 1,000 riders every day. This means that there will be a lot of foot traffic and riders coming in for a cup of coffee on their way to work. There are over 44,000 residents within a 1 mile radius, which provides even more foot traffic. And this market shows that there's a high demand for coffee in the area. Although there are other coffee shops nearby, there are none located on this immediate block, and this gives us a great advantage with this particular location. And Starbucks actually attempted to open a location at this exact spot, but were denied because the landlord really wants an organization that gives back to the community to be opened here. Boyle Heights happens to have an 89% Hispanic Latino population, which we will be connecting with through our Korean Mexican fusion menu. This theme will set us apart from other cafes by offering unique, culturally blended drinks and pastries. So our plan consists of 3 phases. Phase 1 is the build-out phase, and that will take around a year. During this phase, we will secure the location, renovate it, and hire staff. Phase 2 will be from months 12 to 18, and this consists of launching the cafe, training the youth, and tracking the revenue. Once all those are completed, we will then scale our business by opening up other coffee shops in the East LA area. As you can see here, our capital campaign consists of a total goal of $454,000. Our main costs come from construction, build out, and salaries. We hope to hire 20 youth and give them their first jobs. To help with equipment costs, Copa Vida is donating approximately $40,000 of used equipment and providing free barista training.
So, is this business sustainable and can it still support the mission? And the answer is a yes. As you can see, the first year revenue will be 420,000, which will almost double within over the next 10 years. We have a break even in year 2, about 36,000 in net income, and some of our wages will be offset by Youth at Work program up to $25,000. And we have locked in some favorable lease terms with ELAC, and they have given us it's well under market rate. And let me introduce you to our team. It's Stephen Yu is our executive director for Mentor for Change. Esther Yim is a program director who oversees all of the mentors and mentees. Kat Hernandez is interesting. She actually was one of our mentees in the early days, and she came back last year to be a mentor. She comes from retail management. She's going to jump on board to be our general manager to see the success of this. And I myself personally will be overseeing the operations to ensure the success. I come from 10 years of food and beverage experience. I started with my own brand of ice cream, grew it to 3 locations, acquired a wood-fired pizza shop, grew it to 2 locations, and currently employ about 45 staff members. And in my early days, I would say that I did chase or I defined success monetarily. And while there's nothing wrong with that, I quickly found out that culture is really the only way to have success. And culture is developed by people. And so I am very passionate about seeing people develop. I like to see them develop as leaders, and those leaders to develop the people underneath them, and so forth and so forth. And this is what we're asking, $100,000 to fill the gap of what we need to, as the remaining funds to finish the coffee shop. And this isn't just about coffee, though. This isn't just about a place where we're just on a corner trying to sell a cup of coffee. It's really about the youth at hand. We're sowing into the generation of these youth. I really believe that culture cannot be taught. It truly has to be caught. And the only way for that to happen is to be in close proximity, working with them hand in hand. When they see the values that we live by, that's when the youth are able to say, "Oh, that's the kind of person that I want to become," and they get that instilled in them, and that's how they change their generation, their families, and their careers. So thank you, and
Thank you very much. You finished early. That's great. I'll turn it over, Archie and the judges. Are you going to take down your slides, please? Thank you.
I think I'm going to call on Jameson first.
Yeah, thank you. And thanks guys for pitching. This is a very interesting way to leverage a third space in a time when it's receding. I'm wondering, since I've been called on first, if this might actually be more of a comment than a question. But if you're familiar with those kinds of strategies, I believe there was a barbershop initiative out of Harlem that was funded by NIH. Maybe just a yes, no. If not, if it's a no, then I'll leave it as a comment that you should look into it. Sounds like a no. Yeah. So I would look into that, and I'll leave that in my notes as well. This rides the same kind of trajectory.
Thank you so much for that.
Excellent. Kedar.
Yeah, great job, guys. I really like the entire the location story was just great, right? The landlord turning on the Starbucks, giving the spot to community organization, like that's all awesome. And just replicating it across East LA would be exciting. But I think it would be good to just as a bit of feedback, the just having more explicit milestones that define when the first location is more ready to scale. So I guess based on that, what's your evidence or like what is the key thing that you're looking for in that first location before you're scaling it to the next location?
I think we have to actually see that this is a viable model, and if we are actually profitable in year two, you'll see from the financials that it actually scales pretty quick after that, and that's pretty normal for a new business because word of mouth has to actually get some traction. So I think about year two, we see a 25% increase. Year eight or three, it's an 8% increase, and then I think year three or four, we probably have close to about 70,000 net revenue. And I think that's very strong to be able to even go out there and even get a loan from a bank if this was your traditional type of business to be able to expand.
Betsy?
All right. Um, well, I love this model. You know, I come from restaurants, and for that reason, I also uh, am always skeptical when people think they're going to go start a food business because it's a lot harder than it looks. So I appreciate that the founding team includes someone who's actually done it a few times, because otherwise I'd be even more concerned. You know, I'd be more concerned about your success. And I do have a question, which is, have you studied other coffee shops, which are basically youth training programs, so you know what their successes and failures have been? For example, Rose Coffee, which won an award in the Academy several years ago, is right up the street in Pasadena, and it's pretty similar.
They actually were coached
Yes.
by Rose Coffee.
By Rose? Okay, great.
Yeah, so to answer your question, Betsy, as Archie pointed out, we have been in active communication with Dan Davidson throughout this entire process.
Great.
He's been a mentor to us, if you will. And in addition to that, we've also surveyed 37 coffee shops in the surrounding area, and that actually includes cafes as well, from specialty coffee shops to your standard Starbucks. So we've done what we believe to be adequate research. And as you said before, we're going to lean heavily on Daniel, who's part of our founding team, for guidance and mentorship.
That's really great that you surveyed all those people. And I also appreciate that you come up with an eclectic menu. It's not just coffee. Great job.
Samantha?
Hi, another beautiful presentation. Thank you so much again for the time that's been put into this. I have a question around kind of the maintenance of quality across service. So obviously being a cafe, I think you both presented it and talked about the importance of culture. I think that's a really great nod and point to the space, the third space you're creating, as Jameson said. When you look at the maintenance of the quality of service, you know, you're competing across a lot of for-profit businesses that are delivering pastries and all new kind of high quality products. Obviously that's not the focus mission, but in order to maintain a space that's attractive to achieve that scale, what is your plan to balance both, you know, changing trends and quality of the products that you sell and deliver with obviously the primary focus being social impact driven in this particular setting and rising costs and inflation across the board there?
Thank you, Samantha. Yeah, that's actually a great point. I think if we try to replicate what all the trends are around us, I mean, you know, that's kind of a recipe for disaster. It's where at because we can if it's not genuine to who we are, it's never going to work out well. What we really have to take into account is who is around us. I mean, we're on the corner of a metro station that has 1,000 daily driver or daily visitors. So we really have to understand that that market needs their coffee, they need it fast, and they need to go. So I think we have to really gear around speed, but also being able to be true to our mission, which is really teaching the youth at work on how to have values of business, how to actually give great customer service. I mean, just to give a point, some of the things in my or values in my company is experience. We tell them, hey, look, people will always remember how they feel, not anything you said, Maya Angelou, right? So I think when we try to really hammer those things in there and just keep that at the forefront, it'll be able to free flow for them and coffee will just become part of the just yeah, part of that. I hope that answers.
Thank you.
Lloyd.
I'm really impressed with you, Daniel. You've done related businesses. You're proven talent. You're going to be very integral to this project. And you're securing a Starbucks location that they coveted. That's quite a win. What do you see as your biggest challenges, and how are you going to overcome them? What do you personally see as your biggest challenges in this project?
And thank you so much for that compliment. I think the biggest challenge is to really hit the healthy metrics for a restaurant. And what I mean by that is this is probably some of the most scariest landscape for all restaurants. I know because with the sliding economy, plus with food costs and inflation rising, we've never seen our margins be suppressed in this way. So I think the strongest thing to do is to still be able to deliver a price point to the surrounding community for to make it accessible, especially with the speed, but at the same time hitting the metrics we need to be a sustainable and viable business.
Thank you.
All right. Well, thank you from the judges. Um, you'll be filling out your scores, and I think Archie will be taking you to a separate Zoom room to do your deliberations. And what we move to next is a series of fast pitches uh, from the other 7 organizations that participated in the Academy. That will be one person speaking for 3 minutes, and I'll start calling on them. And so in each case, I'm going to, call on the organization, and then I'll start the timer when the fast pitcher starts speaking, and then we'll move through them each. And at the end of the 7 presentations, we will launch an audience poll where you'll get to vote for your favorite one. So thank you. I will call up first Adaptive Sports Center. So no slides, just whoever's going to do the pitch, say a few words, and then we'll kick off.
Yeah, I'm ready. So we can go ahead.
Okay, go ahead.
Hello, guys. My name is Fred, and I'm a UCLA student within the Social Enterprise Academy. Today, I will be speaking on behalf of the Adaptive Sports Center. In the world of accessible activities, the Adaptive Sports Center has been renowned for decades as a golden standard for differently abled recreational activities. On any given day at the ASC, a child with a rare mitochondrial condition might sit side by side on a fit-up bench with a war veteran battling post-traumatic stress and share a laugh. This is an expanding industry of accessible activities already impacting the lives of 1,000 people annually, and the adaptive sports is filled with more demand than ever before. They just have one problem. They have heavily subsidized their ticket pricing for a participant to go on to the mountain. And right now, as it stands, they are losing $800 per participant. So that means that with any venture that we decide to do, we can't really interact directly with the user base. So that begs the question, what does the ASC have that lets us move forward with the venture? Well, the answer is apparent when we look into what the ASC owns, which is real estate. So the ASC has multiple spare properties, and I'm going to go ahead and organize the venture into 2 layers here. So the first layer is at a high level. We want to use these properties that are free most of the time to build a series of external partnerships with companies that do specialized services. So what that means is we are going to be letting people use the property to accomplish their services they sell to other people, and then we get paid for leasing out the property. So our venture applies this by doing weddings, and we basically built a partnership with a catering company and an event rental company, and we are undercutting the market, which is in very high demand in Crested View, Colorado. And basically, we are doing receptions and the actual ceremonies within the Kelsey Wright building, which is one of the properties that the ASC owns. So what's super great is we validated the demand, and we have some pretty crazy numbers here. So within the first year, we're charging $8,000 a night, which is actually well below the competition, and replaces the current competitor that is within the same pricing point. and we are projected to make between $180,000 and $200,000 in revenue on the first year. So that is with the demand that we have validated through the market. Our profit margin is very high as well because we are simply leasing out something that is already owned. And for reference, the entire program at the ASC made $400,000 in program revenue last year. So the second part of this is that we can scale this to different places that the ASC owns. So we're also going to do this with parking spot and hotel rooms in the future. So this is going to let us eventually eclipse the revenue that the ASC makes in their program, and we're just going to do it by outsourcing all of these to external partnerships. All right, that's my time. Thank you.
Thank you. So we'll next go to the Alaska Sea Life Center. And when you are just the presenter there, you'll say a few words, and then when you're ready, start talking.
Great. Ready whenever you are.
Go ahead.
Imagine being a glamping guest in Alaska, falling asleep next to a seal that was rescued the night before. You don't need to imagine. That's the Alaska Sea Life Center's Sea Life Stay, and that's our unfair advantage. The Alaska Sea Life Center, or referred to as the ASLC, is Alaska's only licensed marine mammal rehabilitation center, a research facility, public aquarium, and conservation hub in Seward, Alaska. I'm Ella, and together with my UCLA team, in collaboration with the ASLC, we've developed a venture to unlock a major untapped opportunity for the center. Seward is home to Alaska's major cruise terminal. Hundreds of thousands of visitors pass through every year, but the city only has 460 hotel rooms. That's an enormous gap, and no one is filling it well. Meanwhile, ASLC has an underutilized, beautiful waterfront space just sitting empty. Our venture, transform it into a luxury glamping experience with thermal tents, saunas, cold plunges, and communal fire pits, where guests sleep steps from the ocean next to animals that the center has rescued. The glamping market itself is over $4 billion and growing at 10% annually. In Seward alone, we project more than a $2 million addressable market. Our location, waterfront and a short walk to downtown, is truly unmatched. Unlike any hotel or Airbnb, we offer something no competitor can. Guests aren't just staying somewhere beautiful. They're directly funding animal rescues while they stay. And that's a story people will pay a premium for. At a conservative 63% occupancy rate and charging $450 per night, we project over $370,000 in annual revenue. Our upfront costs come to about $350,000 and will be recovered in under 3 years with an internal rate of return of around 18.5%. But what's the impact? 1 month of profits for this venture funds all animal medicine. 1 year covers all animal food. This venture doesn't just return on capital, it sustains the center's mission. 5 years ago, a seal pup named Tuck was found dying on a beach in Alaska. Rescued by the ASLC team, today he's thriving, just celebrated his 5th birthday, and 500,000 people have met him and learned to protect the ecosystem he depends on. We are asking for $150,000 to build the next chapter of that story. The returns are strong. Is
All right. Okay. I think we finished there. Could we have the Global Campaign for Education, US? Go ahead. Go ahead.
I'm ready. Thank you. Every year, millions of children around the world are denied a basic education. That is not because they lack potential, but it's because no one in power is fighting hard enough for them. GCEUS, otherwise known as the Global Campaign for Education United States, exists to change that. We go to Capitol Hill, we lobby for education funding, and we bring the stories of marginalized children directly into congressional offices. However, advocacy costs a lot of money, And that's where our venture comes in. At GCE, we are launching the Youth Policy and Advocacy Summer Institute, which is a selective 1-week program in Washington, D.C. for high school sophomores and juniors all across the United States. These students are motivated, college-bound, and whose families are already investing in their development. Over the course of the program, participants will receive hands-on policy and advocacy training. They have the chance to develop real policy proposals in small teams and then take those proposals to Capitol Hill on Advocacy Day, where they meet with these congressional staffers and elected officials. So overall, this is not a simulation, it's truly the real deal. Parents will pay between $1,500 and $3,500 per student for this experience, and it's worth every dollar. This program puts high schoolers in actual congressional offices, and students will leave with advocacy skills, policy knowledge, and confidence that sets them apart in college applications and carries through their entire careers, whether they want to dive into law, public service, business, or anything else. And here's what makes this more than just a great program. Every single dollar of surplus will go directly back to GCE's mission, advocating for the children who have no seat at the table. The students who are out of school in Gambia, in rural India, in communities across the world where education is still a privilege, not a right. The paying families fund the program, and the program funds the fight. As for year one, we are surplus positive, generating around $68,000, and by year four, generating around $129,000. In our second year, we will also begin pursuing federal grant funding through Title I and TRIO to expand the program's reach. Our team brings expertise in nonprofit management, education policy, and program design. And we at GCE are ready to build something that works as a business and fuels a mission that truly matters. We believe that every child deserves a seat at the table, and GCE fights for them. This is how we fund that fight.
Thank you. Thank you very much. If we could have ground up trade and talent solutions, and when you're ready, kick off.
Take a moment and look around the room you're sitting in right now. The lights above you, the air conditioning keeping you comfortable. The plumbing running through the walls, even the internet infrastructure allowing this meeting to happen, every single one of these systems exists because of skilled trades workers. But across the country, the workforce responsible for building and maintaining our world is shrinking rapidly. Thousands of HVAC, plumbing, and electrical workers retire every year, while fewer young people enter the trades. At the same time, our demand for housing, infrastructure, and technology continues to skyrocket. My name is Yochan, and today I'm presenting GUTS Ground Up Trade and Talent Solutions. We are a workforce development organization focused on building the next generation of skilled trades professionals. Currently, GUTS provides accelerated HVAC and plumbing programs. However, our venture focuses on transforming GUTS from a small training nonprofit into a scalable national workforce pipeline. We are achieving this through three key solutions. First, we're launching a new electrical training program. From modern hospitals to massive data centers, everything relies on electrical infrastructure. Expanding here allows us to meet critical market demand while opening pathways into another high-growth trade. Second, we are introducing an employer-sponsored apprenticeship model. Instead of students struggling with upfront tuition, employers directly invest in training the workers they urgently need. Students gain access to stable, living wage careers, and employers secure reliable talent, and GUTS builds sustainable business model. Finally, we're scaling our growth through expanded marketing and community partnerships. By building tighter networks with contractors and local organizations, we will consistently attract new students and employees alike. This venture directly aligns with our core mission, creating career opportunities that sustain the very industries protecting public health and safety. At its core, GUTS is about investing in the people who build power and maintain our daily lives, because without them, the world we live in simply would not function. Thank you.
Thank you. The next one is the Makers Hub. Makers Hub is
Yep.
all right.
You guys see me?
Yes, we see you. So when you start talking, I'll start the timer.
Hello, guys. My name is Isaac, and I'm a representative for the Makers Hub. The Makers Hub is a locally grown nonprofit right in the heart of Compton, California. We supply a wide variety of tool-related services to our community. We have a vast tool library with people can rent at little to no cost. We conduct literacy workshops. Um, I'm sorry. God, can I start over? This.
Go ahead. Yes.
Hello, guys. My name is Isaac, and I am a representative for the Makers Hub. The Makers Hub is a locally grown nonprofit right in the heart of Compton, California. We supply a wide variety of tool-related services to our communities. We have a vast tool library where people can rent at little to no cost to them. We conduct tool literacy workshops that show the basics of even using the most complex tools, and we conduct repair workshops where we encourage the locals to bring in their broken items and show them how to fix it free of charge. These services are a game changer. During such times when prices are high, wages are low, and work selection is scarce, we give the community an affordable way to fix their issues at home. We even help create small business. Andrew, once a programmer for Sony, was laid off and took to renting art tools at our tool library to do a side gig as a handyman while he looked for new work. Little did he know he would end up starting a successful small business that supports his life entirely. These are the changes we aim to make within our community and the reason why we are here today. Now, our bread and butter, the workshops, have such amazing qualities, two of them being teamwork and connectivity. We thought, wait, you know who could really use these services? Businesses. Businesses everywhere struggle from a lack of engagement at work. It's a silent killer of productivity. It's a real problem that has real costs that requires a real solution, and we are that solution. Our venture is business-oriented workshops that specialize in teamwork, communication, and fun. From woodworking classes to designing and creating your own team's apparel, we have a diverse selection of workshops that will plug and play into any business. Employees and managers get the time to truly connect while also gaining valuable tool literacy that will last them a lifetime. This is a win-win, both for employees and employers. Our ask to start this venture is only $46,400. This money goes directly to the part-time salary of our new hire, the community program manager, who we have the perfect candidate for, and the year one for marketing, research, and development. The Makers Hub has changed lives, and you can help change more. Help us build a brighter future for the people. That's it. Thank you.
Thank you. So our next presenter will be Our People Rise. And go ahead, and I'll start the timer when you start.
Great, thank you. Hey, everybody, I'm AJ Lovewins. I'm the founder of Our People Rise, and I was homeless in my younger years when the experience devastated me. But I was one of the lucky ones, and I found transformational education and a community that supported me. Since then, I've started two nonprofits, the second being Our People Rise. And OPR's mission is to support people on their journey of transformation through free online education and inspirational talks and events. With the help of the Social Enterprise Academy at UCLA and some amazing students, we created Our People Rise speaker series, a storytelling experience that gives people who have actually recovered from homelessness and the issues that surround it a platform to share with people who need to hear their stories the most. The goal is to create hope for those who have lost hope and to shorten the time it takes for people to bounce back from these hardships. For decades, successful nonprofits have used live storytelling, many focusing on creating awareness and reaching people in ways that can foster personal growth. Our program differentiates itself through the lived experience of our speakers, which often helps those who can't relate to other speakers that don't have that experience. OPR Speaker Series is a live 1-hour event that starts with documentary and inspirational films, personal testimony, and followed by speakers and Q&A. This kind of programming addresses unique critical needs in shelters, rehabs, prisons, nonprofits, and other spaces, including community organizations that other models can. Our model works as a one-off and reoccurring series that will generate consistent income through direct institutional giving funding per event. Homeless service organizations, workforce reintegration programs, and other care-backed institutions will pay OPR an event booking fee, which typically ranges from an industry standard of $700 to $2,000 per event. This will also work at high schools and universities seeking this type of content. In fact, in April, we actually tested a version of this model at UCLA. We had 40 students and community members came. The discussion was deeply intimate and impactful, and several people stayed afterward to ask questions and thank the speakers and shared stories of their own. The event also reached over 10,000 views and 140 shares. This template is already working, and our next event is in the works. As someone who has dramatically changed his life from the devastating circumstances of homelessness, I believe no one should be defined by the hardest chapter of their life. With the OPR Speaker Series, we are not just telling stories, we are helping people believe that transformation is possible and enrolling them into our larger online educational platform and Zoom community. Thank you.
Thank you very much. And so the seventh is the Philharmonic Society of Orange County.
Thank you.
So when you're ready, start speaking. I'll start the timer.
Good afternoon. My name is Tyler Kwan, and I'm here representing our venture with the Philharmonic Society of Orange County, Symphonic Scholars. So most of us know what it feels like when a song brings back a memory. It could remind you of your childhood, your family, your culture, or someone you lost. And that is why music matters. It doesn't just entertain people, it's what connects people. For younger students, that connection needs some sort of structure. Right now, many students experience music in one-time moments. They volunteer once, they attend one concert, or play one community performance. Then the experience ends. At the same time, Philharmonic Society has a clear need to engage the next generation more deeply and more consistently. That is the problem that Symphonic Scholars solves. Symphonic Scholars is a tier and it gives students path. This is not just a music club. Students move through levels from elementary school through alumni. Each level includes concert engagement, music learning, community service, and audience development. As students grow, the program grows with them. From participation to service to leadership, perform at senior centers, mentor younger students, or help coordinate outreach. The program handbook defines requirements, pins, badges, and certifications make progress visible. The market, as we see, is already here. Students want service hours, leadership experience, recognition, and meaningful extracurriculars. Parents want credible, structured opportunities that help them grow. Our survey showed that 80% of respondents would pay for an honor style program, and 93% said strengthening college applications was a major reason students join these organizations. We're not creating demand from scratch. We're giving existing demand a home. The program also builds on what Philharmonic Society already has: concerts, school partnerships, current student volunteers, family concerts, community relations, and brand trust. Outreach would happen through those existing school relationships, current youth participants, and word of mouth. That means a program can launch without major new infrastructure. Annual fees range from 20 to 100, making the model accessible while allowing it to become self-sustaining. Our goal is not to create a massive revenue stream. It's to increase youth engagement without financially draining the nonprofit, with surplus invested into scholarships, access, and community programming. So we're seeking $25,000 to launch the first 6 months, coordinating outreach, volunteer tracking, recognition materials, scholarships, and community performance logistics. Symphonic Scholars turns one musical moment into a pathway, and one student into the next generation. Leaders, audience members, and art supporters.
So thank you. Well, thank you. We've had our 7 fast pitches. Joseph will open up a poll for those in the audience to vote for their favorite of the fast pitches. And I'll turn the floor over to Isabel to introduce our keynote speaker.
Thank you very much, and congratulations to all the pitches today. I think it was very impressive. For the sake of time, I'm going to do a quick introduction to Charles Antis, our keynote speaker. I'm sure he's going to share so much that you will get to know the extent of the amazing work he's doing in the nonprofit community and how his company has been really a great example of, giving back as a business, again, in the community. I'm just going to read a few lines from his bio. As I said, he's based in Orange County, so I got to interact with a lot of people in the community, and Charles is extremely well respected. He's been involved in many programs like California Love Drop and many others. He's a known roofing expert, entrepreneur, humanitarian. So we'll talk about his business, Antis Roofing. And he's really championing this social corporate responsibility. Also, Charles has served on dozens of national, local boards for nonprofits and professional associations like the National Roofing Contractors Association, where he co-initiated the national adoption of all 165 Ronald McDonald homes around the country. He does serve on the Ronald McDonald House of Orange County Board of Directors, and he also raised over $15 million to help build this house. And he probably will talk a little bit about, again, various programs he's been involved in today. He's involved in many nonprofit organizations across the country and in Southern California, including Orange County Habitat for Humanity, where he has donated every roof installation since 2009. So again, a perfect mix of business purpose, what we're talking about here as social enterprise. So without no further ado, Charles, I will turn it over to you because I think everybody is here is excited to hear from you. So thank you for joining us today.
Thank you.
Ladies and gentlemen, this is your captain speaking. We're having a medical emergency. Is there a doctor on board?
Have you ever heard that? Have you ever been on a flight and heard that? It's a pin drop moment. Because you don't know what's going to happen. Something so certain. There's a fear that goes through you. You look around you and nobody's happy. I'm worried about the food I'm not going to get, with the meal I'm not going to get to. Possibly the man in front of me is looking at his watch, wondering what's going to happen. It's chaos. Finally, the captain comes on board and says,
Excuse me, we're having to turn around this flight to Albuquerque for this medical emergency.
And so we're really upset. A guy does stand up. A guy stands up right behind me. He doesn't stand up right away, which I don't understand. And he actually stands up and he's got a stethoscope around his neck, which I found really odd. But we weren't happy about it. And why do I tell you this story right now? But that kind of chaos, not knowing what would happen, reminds me of when I started my business, my roofing business. I was a college dropout at the time. I didn't have much choices. Here I was in Southern California. I looked for a job. I grew up in Oregon, a laborer, cutting down trees or working in the plywood mills. So I looked for the only job I could find, and that job happened to be in roofing. Roofing sounded really hard. And it was the hardest work I ever did, even growing up in labor. But something happened one day after I was ripping off all these roofs and I was really tired. I'd worked for this boss a few months, and this boss came to me and he said, "Hey, Charlie, you want to fix a leak over in 301B?" It's a condo we was working at. And I thought, well, gosh, yeah, I'll go do that. That sounds great. Sounds way better than all this hard work. And I went over there, I met the family, and they had a leak in their kitchen. And I just, I said, okay, I'm going to get this. I felt this thing in me, this pride in doing something good. I went up on the roof and I pulled apart this metal up on top of the roof in between these pitches called coping metal. And I found where it was rotten and I pulled it all back together. I gooped it. I put the coping back on. And I was so proud. I felt so good about myself. And the next day, I was on that job again, and the boss, the owner of that roofing company, said, "Hey, Charles, let's go look at that leak." And I led him over there. I was really proud. And I remember as I walked over there, he looked at it, and then he went like this. And I looked at him, "Why is he looking like that?" And he goes, "That's going to leak again." I said, no, it's not. I told him everything I just said. I put it all together. I put it all back together. I gooped it. There's no way that's going to leak again. And he said to me, Charlie, it's bucking water. You put the top piece on first and the bottom piece on second. Now water's going to work its way in. I don't know if that story is really personal to me, and it's embarrassing because I remember how I felt there. I was humiliated. I was shot in the chest. I didn't know what to do. I was embarrassed, and I thought in my mind, this determination that is so critical in business. There's a determination. It may have felt unrealistic, but I said, I'm never going to miss another leak again. And it wasn't a few years later, I started my own company. There was not enough work at that company. And I remember being so desperate for leaks. I literally put weather stripping on the door, the home office bedroom that I converted. I put weather stripping on the door one day so if you called, you wouldn't hear my kids cry. That's how desperate I was for work when I started my company. And I remember a couple of calls that made all the difference. The first was what took me to purpose. It's like, give me the leak, I'd say, that no one else could solve. That was all I knew about. I didn't know what marketing was, but I would say to property managers, give me the leak that no one else can solve and I'll fix it for free. Then you'll know I'm great. Then we'll get this. And I didn't say that with real, it was bravado, but I didn't know I could. I just needed to have this stuff that I could sell. And I remember I got this one call one day from a property manager and he had a leak, and I went out to the condo the next day, and instead of being like a 2-story condo with leaks, it was 6 or 8 stories high. 8 stories high, and there was a leak on the 6th floor. And then he told me, Charles, that leak has leaked for the last 30 years. And I just remember being on that job. I didn't have a ladder that was tall enough, so I had to build a bosun's chair. It's like that sailor's chair you see swinging on the side of the ship. I was literally hanging over with ropes on the 6th floor 3 days later, wondering what did I get myself into. I mean, literally I had like 6 pieces of siding or 8 pieces of siding hanging there on tethers and a Makita cordless saw here, and I was about out of juice. I had no more tethers left. I just pulled off my last piece, and I thought, what did I say? Give me the leak that no one else can solve. And then suddenly, right at that moment, I looked down at the bottom of that area where I'd pulled it apart. I looked down there, and I saw this white, looked like kind of a moldy substance. I started picking at it, started falling apart. I started picking through this old paper. And then through that, there was a wet, almost like drywall, but some older substance like this wall paste. And then behind that, there was an old, ancient square-headed nail. Like it probably punctured the pipe when they built it 60 years before. It had been leaking the whole time. No one had lived there all this time. And there I was all of a sudden, talk about a difference in feeling so low a minute ago. And then there I was a moment later, thinking like I had solved the leak that no one else could solve. And that gave me this bravado. In fact, I became confident, and I would literally go up on a roof when somebody gave me a leak that no one could solve. I would go up on a leak where no one would see. I wouldn't tell people this. I didn't tell this till a couple of years ago. I would lay down where nobody would see me till my head hit the tiles. And I would imagine I am water. It sounds really crazy. It was hard to ever admit that. But I would literally imagine myself as a drop of water. I would see myself falling down. I would see this drop of water that somehow was me hitting the chimney. I would see that drop of water that somehow was me falling and clinging and pulling and then falling down below the tiles, pulling and pooling. And somehow through this thing that I never shared until recently, I would eventually pop up. It might be 3 feet away, sometimes 30 feet away, but I would pull up the tiles and find where that rusted nail had bent through that flashing and leaked through that membrane. And that was powerful. I learned this thing about water. For where there is failure, water will find it always. It doesn't pause with bias, it just flows. There's no bias with water, and there's something about that, because the next story I got to tell you that makes all sense is something that is so personal to me is, again, I'm desperate for leaks. I know I can do it, but I don't get that many calls, and I get a call from a lady and she's got leaks in every room. And I'm happy going out there the next day. This is somewhere around LAX. And as I'm getting closer to where this home's going to be, I'd never been there before, I'm noticing the home's getting smaller, and I'm sort of wanting to turn around, to be honest. But I knew I needed to show up, so I did. And I saw the house, I creeped up on it, and it was a tiny house. I remember this. On that house, all around it, all the grass was dead. But I went up and I knocked on the door, and this thing happened really fast. A woman answers the door, but she doesn't say anything. She's got this look on her face, like a frown, and I don't even know what to say. But before I can think what to say, the second impression, I smell mildew. The mildew is so strong that I have this immediate reaction to flee, and I start to run. But as I start to run, my third impression is there's a tug at my hand, and I look down, and instead of, there's this, must look like I was scared to death or something. The mom, I remember what she looked like, frowning, but this little girl just had this big smile, and she's pulled me in the house. She pulls me through this crowded living room that it didn't look like they'd had many visitors. You know, I mean, looking at it now, I mean, they were humiliated. It was a story I never thought I would tell. But this girl pulls me into her room, and she so proudly points to her My Little Pony poster on the wall. I remember it was a brand new My Little Pony poster. But that was the exact moment that I kicked something on the floor, and I looked down, and it was like this bedding, moldy bedding. And then something happened. I realized, oh my God, this is what's going on here. And it's just hitting me really fast. And I don't know what to do. Things are spinning. I want to flee. I want to run away. And then the mom walks back in that room, and something magical happened when I saw that mom's frown again. It was, the girl was still smiling. I was stuck. This woman comes in, and this look, as if she had words, it would be, yeah, I know, this is awful. You want to leave. You're going to probably leave like everybody else. I mean, that's what the look said. And there was something in that something in me rose up, and I said, ma'am, I'm going to take care of your roof. And I remember hoping it wouldn't need anything, but it needed a whole new roof. And I got to tell you, I didn't know, but somehow gathering that group of volunteers and maybe the one employee I had already, and showing up that weekend and getting that family a safe, dry roof, there was something magical that occurred. It's something that we call culture here at Antis Roofing today. There's the high five to people that don't necessarily high five, chest bumps, hugs, like this thing that happens that's magical, that changed everything, because we learned truly the essence of that thing that water taught us. People at their highest selves, we flow without bias like water to find the weakness. And we've learned in the roofing industry to be really generous, because we can't let a family have a leaky roof just because they don't have the money to pay. I love saying that, but that's something that strikes us, and we found that we thrive in doing so. Today at Antis Roofing, I got to tell you the impact we have from that first roof donation. So much has happened. Like I said, like you heard, we've donated the last 99 Habitat roofs in a row. How does that work? How can that work in a company? It's $2.5 million in roofing. It doesn't make sense how that makes us a stronger company. But we have a 90% retention rate in an industry that has a 56% attrition rate. It makes a huge difference. But I got to tell you why. It's this. When I donated that first Habitat roof 15 years ago, Rosie, who was getting her first home for the first time, she hugged me. She trembled, and she said, Charles, tonight, for the first time, my 12-year-old son is going to look out his own bedroom window. And it's those stories. And what happens when those stories are told, when we just recently did our 200th blood drive, they talk about it. in the neighborhood, on the news, and we end up thriving. We end up being trusted. I get to speak. We serve on national and local boards. We win awards. And like I said, we have this magical retention and this high culture and high brand. And I didn't set out to do that, but I learned something about people. I learned that it wasn't what I really knew back then. I've learned that we're all built this way because I got to go back to something. Remember this moment? Ladies and gentlemen, this is your captain speaking. Remember what I told you? We turned around the airplane. We went to Albuquerque. Everybody was upset. I remember that guy, like I said, 2 rows up on his watch. He was going to miss his flight. I know that look. I saw it all around. But something started to happen. When we were going down into Albuquerque, the captain got on there. Hey, can you pass all your towels? Can you pass all your ice? Can you pass all your napkins? They got use of everything on the plane to help this passenger. Everything on the plane. And something started to happen. People started high-fiving. This whole terrarium of people that everybody was selfish on, things started happening that was so magical. And I realized, oh my God, this is something beautiful. And then we landed and when they took that patient off the plane in Albuquerque, all of us knowing we're going to be way late in Miami when we got there, we cheered. We gave a standing ovation, to those people, to that doctor that I told you that had stood up, and then on the rest of the flight from Albuquerque back to Miami, we learned a lot more. We got to know each other because we realized we were all together. We all are meant to help one another. But I learned something. The guy, that's British guy, had a British accent. He was kind of annoying. He was tall. This doctor that stood up behind me, I learned when I got to know him, he wasn't a doctor at all. It took him a while to stand up until he knew he was the most qualified person on the plane. He was the dive medic here in Long Beach at the Pacific Aquarium. Boy, he stood tall after that. The other doctor that helped him out was a chalk nurse. And those 2 people, they commandeered that plane and saved that passenger as far as we know. And that was a beautiful story that showed the highest in humanness. And why do I tell you this now? Why am I telling you this now? It's because there's some things that you have to do to be successful in business, nonprofit, for-profit, and it's all true. It's all true. It's all true for both. And as we work with both so much, we see it from both sides. And you first of all have to love what you do. You have to find a way that makes sure that if you're doing this to get a grade, I get that. That's fine. But if you're the one driving this that really wants to do it, then love it. And like you're doing, find a way to give it away. If you go into the for-profit world, which most of you will, and you start doing what you're doing, love it, then find a way to give it away. But if you want to be heard, you heard it some tonight, and I say some, I heard a lot of stories, but if you want to be heard, let me hear your stories. Tell your real stories, and tell it with some vulnerability. I mean, there's got to be some risk there. There's got to be a reason. People have to know why you personally are invested there, especially if you're the main one delivering the message. And if you do that, you'll be happy. It's not what I thought it was. It's not the struggle. It's not the struggle. It's really simple. It's this. It's find a way to love what you do and find that way to give it away. And then you'll thrive and you'll be happy, just like that dive medic with that stethoscope around his neck when the captain.
Excellent.
So, in 3rd place, we have Build Up. Yay. Too bad it's all dark. We can't even. Yay. In 2nd place, we have Friends of the Los Angeles River, which means that our number 1 place is Mentor for Change. I want to thank all of our judges. It was the easiest judging panel to ever work with. In particular, like there was no even there was like literally just some conversation, no arguments, and nothing got thrown. So it was really great. Bob Triplett, would you like a moment?
Yeah, sure. I just want to thank, first of all, the judges for being here and taking the time to really look and appreciate all that you offered and your insights. And thank you for the students, the hard work, as Andy mentioned earlier, the work that you did with the nonprofits. And, you really make this program as stellar as it is. And thank you for the nonprofits for trusting us. Without you, there wouldn't be this program. And thank you for being along for the ride, and hopefully we've exceeded your expectations. That goes to both the students and the nonprofits. And finally, thank you to my fellow colleagues, Andy, Archie, Paul, Isabel, Betsy. It's been just a privilege to be a part of this. So really thank you all. It's been just an absolute joy.
Betsy, did you want to say something?
I did. I just, since we're reflecting on each other's greatness, I want to point out how proud I am of this team that has carried on since I retired. And thank you for this carrying of the torch. And let you know that I do expect that you're going to find a way to keep carrying the torch, even though there's going to be a sabbatical at UCLA.
Thank you.
I got that, Betsy. Paul?
Yes, can you hear me?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay. First, great job with the students and the nonprofits. Thanks for being vulnerable and thanks for participating. I guess going forward, we are working on sites and other ventures called Be the Change, and really helping the nonprofits and students to have a voice and what else they want to make a difference with, and to keep going. Maybe the Academies is just the start of connection and how we can keep creating and keep the businesses going. I hope in this program that we've learned a little bit what the cause of the matter is. And that's really being responsible for everything and not playing the victim. It's one of the soft skills we learned in this program, and that really I am proud of, and proud with Betsy, Rob, and Andy, and creating something that no programs can do. Anyway, thanks for letting us be a part, and we'll see you guys soon.